Hi, John, Larry Klein, and the other people on the committee, Pat Burt, Greg Sharp, Nancy Shepard, and another 10 or 15 people here in the room. How are things in Sacramento?
Well, things have been pretty exciting, and hello to all of you council members and everybody else. Things have been busy in Sacramento. You know, we're finally getting the bills are finally getting sent off to committee, and we're starting to get hearings put together. This morning they finally set the hearing time for SB 985, which is a bill this committee has endorsed, and that will be first heard by the Transportation Committee on April the 10th. And so I'm hoping that members of the committee can come on up to Sacramento and not only testify on that, but it's a good opportunity to meet the rest of our legislators and start to continue those conversations. So I'm hoping everybody can, who is ever available, might be able to mark that on the calendar and make a day out of it. So it's important. Other bills that we're watching very closely are, well, there's numbers of bills, and any bill we can, of course, somehow find a way to tie back to high-speed rail, but the key ones right now are certainly SB 985 by LaMaffa, AB 1574 by Galgiani, which is the same bill that we heard last year, putting high-speed rail back under BT&H, or putting it under BT&H. There are other bills out there, including 1455, which is the basic limit law put forward by Assemblywoman Hartley, and another bill, 1189, which deals with getting local transportation dollars, part of the $900 million, out to specific sites. But there are also a couple bills that we want to, especially one in particular, that we want to keep a close eye on. One put forward by Senator Padilla on SB 1533, which is pretty much a hollow bill right now, but we're concerned about where that may go in the future. We're hearing rumors circulating around CEQA exemptions and other items, and those are of great concern, obviously. And we want to make sure that we watch the legislation so that things don't slip in suddenly that are damaging to the city of Palo Alto. As far as our strategy, as we discussed at our last meeting, we are working very hard at Los Angeles and our legislators down south. However, what we found in the last 2 weeks is certainly the game has shifted as High Speed Rail Authority has begun to put together the MOU with the Southern California Transportation Agencies. And that is suddenly the argument of what's in it for you guys is suddenly changed quite a bit. Now, I think you guys have watched those MOUs very closely as I have, and I think we recognize that there's no real money attached to it yet. But it's basically the wimpy strategy from Popeye. I'll gladly pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today strategy with them. So that seems to be working at the moment, but we'll see whether how far that plan can go. We're obviously working very closely around these CEQA issues with our environmental allies and working on building those relationships. Should there be an in-run on CEQA, everybody is aware and prepared to defend against it. So that's sort of in a nutshell. I could probably go into more detail, but perhaps you have questions for me.
Questions, colleagues? Pat?
Hi, John. It's Pat.
Hello, Pat.
Can you shed a little light on what I think I had heard was in the draft MOU with the Southern California folks, with the authority attempting to have them have to endorse the Central Valley ICS in order to get those dollars?
You know, Pat, I've heard that. I don't have the document in front of me, and I have not read it for the last couple of days. So I'm not exactly sure what the wording is, but that's a recollection that I have. But again, you know, I hear so many things during the day. I'd really like to look at the document to make sure that that's in there. Perhaps somebody in the meeting has it on hand.
I don't have that.
I can certainly take a look at that in a heartbeat.
Okay. We'll try and chase that down.
I certainly think there's an implicit expectation that would happen. I mean, High Speed Rail is not about to give something away for free. So it's an endorsement. It's a vote. We're not sure what deal was cut.
John, I was intrigued to see in the paper this morning something that we've talked to you about on several occasions, and that is the story on the tax deal that Governor Brown negotiated with the teachers union, I guess it is. Also had a line in the story I read to the effect of why is Governor Brown putting so much of his political capital on high-speed rail?
Yeah.
And sort of just raised the question, and nobody seemed to have the answer. So I'm just looking for you to have the answer.
Well, I have my crystal ball into the governor's mind. I called our senior partner, Rafa Ochoa, this morning, who you've all met, and I said, geez, Ralph, you're right. The governor did change his mind. And he sort of smiled and chuckled about that. But, so there's always the possibility that he will change his mind.
John, you mean he changed his mind on the tax bills?
Yes, because I remember when we met with him before, we asked a similar question, and he was explaining the Prop 13 and the born-again tax fighter. So,
I mean, the governor can change in a moment.
That's my understanding, and we could hope that we'll be the next on the list.
Good. Okay. So just to think this through, if we have some people come up there on April 10th, you'd have some meetings arranged, particularly with the senators or assembly members that you identified as possible candidates to vote no?
Yes. In fact, we'd like to, we certainly the ones that vote no, but we like the ones that are on the fence, particularly, and see if we can influence them. We'd like to make a legislative day out of it. So as many members of the committee or the state council that are able to come up or want to come up, what we'll do is we'll testify on the bill, and then we're trying to set up meetings with leadership of committees, and then certainly leadership of the Senate and Assembly, and we'll sort of build a day around that. We want to try to get, it's a long drive for you all, so we want to try to get as much done in that visit as we possibly can. And this will probably be the first one, and then we'll probably have a subsequent one as other legislation comes up.
Okay. Other questions or concerns? All right.
How are the Democrats responding to the bill?
Well, that's what we're talking about. That is what John's talking about. Democrats who are on the fence. There are no Republicans on the fence, as far as I know.
No, there are no Republicans on the fence, as far as I know. The 985, everybody's talking about it. It's a very useful bill in a couple ways. One, it puts a lot of pressure on the legislature to do something, either for or against, but it puts people on the spot. The other thing is certainly the governor in last year's taxes has a propensity to wanting to put things to the voters. And so if things get tight and no one's able to come to any sort of resolution, it may be a bill that people are willing to punt. Not punt the bill, but punt back to the voters. And that's a possibility. It's certainly it's a useful thing to have out there.
Yeah, I realize I misspoke. I'm interested in people who are willing to, who are on the fence and might be inclined to vote yes on 985.
Yes. Well, we'll get as many of them as we can.
Okay. Very good. I think that we'll send you off to your 1 o'clock meeting, but you're certainly welcome to listen into the rest of our meeting here.
Well, I've got a few minutes. Well, if you could put me on mute and I could listen in, I wouldn't mind finishing off this meeting with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. We're considering the draft of the letter we're sending to the Caltrain board with regard to their proposed MOU with the High-Speed Rail Authority.
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to listen in, so if you can keep me on the line.
Sure.
I'll sign off when I've got to go, but thank you very much.
Good, John. Good talking to you.